And now, ladies and gentlemen, the national chairman of the Muscular Dystrophy Association, Mr. Jerry Lewis.
If you attended grade school during the Gen X years, then you recognize this man as the harbinger of doom, the angel of death, or simply the bearer of bad news. There was no way to escape the day after. Jerry Lewis ushered in a brand new school year, new classroom, new teacher, and possibly some new friends. This was the Gen Experience. I'm Victor, and as the telethon ticked by, the ugly truth became much harder to deny.
Thank you very kindly, and a very pleasant good evening to you, and welcome to Telethon 85.
Did this television event make up for the end of carefree days by the pool, biking to exciting new places with old friends, the last of the blockbuster movies, vacations and camping trips, or staying out all day exploring and then staying up late each night? Could this really be the end of summer vacation? The new school year was inevitable, and it was time to face the music. Mom had already taken you back to school shopping, making sure you had new clean clothes so not to embarrass her upon your return. You could have gotten some new Garanimals to help match your tops and bottoms, or perhaps the trendiest fashions and a new backpack. School shopping was the first taste of reality that the summer was wrapping up. The only positive thing in returning to the classroom each fall was being a year older. We arrived by bus, bike, or walked, 1.3 miles in my case, entering class just as the echo of the klaxon rang out to remind us the time had come. Pegs were provided against the wall to hang up our things, and a shelf above to store our packed lunch for later. Nothing needed refrigeration. Butts and seats, these would be our assigned desks for the remainder of the year, so we chose wisely. We were accustomed to the classrooms, but this was different. It was a new space with a new teacher. The bulletin board was decorated with fall leaves and welcome messages. We immediately looked around to see if all the familiar faces had returned. Some you hadn't seen in almost 3 months. Inevitably, someone was missing, and over the next few days you would learn through the grapevine they either moved out of state or had changed schools, and you may never see that person again. Or you might run into them in the halls of high school in a few years, but by then, don't expect things to be the same. The teacher wrote her name on the board and started introductions with each of us. Afterwards, one student was chosen to take the attendance to the office. We took note of who was starting the year trying to get on the teacher's good side. After the morning announcements from the speaker at the front of the room, classes would begin. Your desk was probably ergonomically incorrect, where you had to reach underneath and figure out what book to get. Or you were lucky and had a flip top. Here is where we also emptied our new supplies provided by our parents, who went off the list of required items sent by the school. The list depended on your grade level, but pencils, paper, crayons, pens, scissors, glue, double-spaced paper, binders, and notebooks were all the norm. Oh, and don't forget that box of tissue for the whole class. If any of these items were branded with popular intellectual properties, you were already elevating yourself with the other students. Convoluted story problems had returned for math class, and the technological wonder, the overhead projector, was employed to demonstrate problem solving or for diagramming sentences in language arts class. It was important to know where the subject and the predicates belonged. We would have to wait until junior high to move from one classroom to the next for different subjects with different teachers. Grade school classrooms were like a second home. We had the same teacher for all subjects, all except music and gym class. Music class wasn't daily, and it certainly wasn't Juilliard. In a separate classroom complete with piano, the teacher would do her best to deliver the fundamentals of the scale and notes while we practiced keeping a tune. You probably recognize this. The recorder was once standard equipment for anyone in grade school with a music class. Intended to reinforce music basics, each of us got this magical starter flute to hopefully create some semblance of a song. I'm sure our parents expected it, but no doubt dreaded its arrival, and our incessant practicing of hot cross buns. Not to stifle our learning or creative potential, our parents grinned and bared it, all while popping Anacin or Bufferin. The culmination of our work with this wooden air pipe and our own pipes would be a concert or pageant put on with mixed reaction from our parents and the student body. We felt proud of our accomplishments as everyone else, forced to endure it, was just glad when it was over. If you were still of a certain age, then show and tell might be something you looked forward to during the school year, a chance to showcase something you brought from home and explain it to your peers. Usually, it was an awesome new toy or expensive gift someone received from family or during a vacation that they wanted to flaunt. Recess was a highly anticipated daily activity. The short first break of the day allowed us to release pent-up energy on the playground. Some kids attempted the most airtime as they leapt from the giant swing set or took their chances of third-degree burn on the long heated metal of the playground slide. Shooting off the end, we either climbed back up to the top or settled with hanging upside down from our knees on the crossing bars. Some kids grabbed their albums, no, not those, but these, for the very popular trend at the time, sticker trading. While others simply showed off their newest Star Wars action figure with friends, or brought newly adopted Minerva Charmaine and Eldridge Chapman straight from the Cabbage Patch. If these weren't a status symbol, nothing was. The weeks went by in steady cadence. Classes followed a curriculum, and we completed lessons week after week. If we were no longer drilling or performing spelling bees, maybe this year we learned cursive or memorized our states and capitals. Each a milestone of the systematic educational process. The end of the year looked impossibly far from reach. PE, or physical education, was a daily routine that got us out of reading, writing, and arithmetic. If it was still nice weather, class was outside and provided rudimentary skills for the usual organized sports. Each year, we would have to be judged on our athletic prowess during the presidential physical fitness tests, where those with skills shined, and those without hated PE even more. At first, they used incentives like trading cards and posters of retired NFL quarterback Bob Greasy. And then in the 80s, they got smart and used the biggest action hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yet to come.
Presidential fitness test. Our great president, Ronald Reagan, along with the predator himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger, care enough about you to demand physical excellence.
Technically, Arnold wasn't the predator, he was the prey.
Nobody cares, Goldfarb.
You could offer me a McDonald's gift certificate, but I still couldn't do more than 2 or 3 chin-ups. When not adhering to the curriculum, there was always dodgeball.
In our world, you were either a bully, a toady, or one of the nameless rabble of victims.
Alright, who's next?
Nowhere was this more true than dodgeball. The bullies were ready and lived for this, while others just chose the easy way out, walk right up and take the first hit just to get out of the game entirely. It was their only defense. Some of us longed for just one good throw, hitting a toady before the inevitable. The burn of a red cherry ball on the thigh or the cheek is still a sting that never goes away. Let's be honest, gym teachers were masochists. Lunch was awesome. Did you also get a new lunchbox in back-to-school shopping? Did you get it with Star Wars, Buck Rogers, or Mickey Mouse on it? Mine was the Muppets, but it was stolen the first day of 3rd grade. The lunches were simple. The sandwich was made by Mom, and it was peanut butter and jelly. The rest might have been a package of chips, or maybe some cookies put in a Ziploc, and of course a few carrots just to keep it healthy. And on occasion, a little note of encouragement from Mom. Bartering a trade for various items between students was always anticipated. No one expected gourmet foods, and without social media, mothers were not yet guilted into providing bento boxes filled with organic homemade meals. Parents didn't compare notes on raising kids. They were all in it together. Their goal was to get their children out alive. No pack lunch? No problem. The hair-netted lunch ladies provided you one of the programmed weekday lunches posted on the menu above the line. There was very little change from year to year, so get ready for pizza, chili with an amazing cinnamon roll, or straw hats, a Frito chip-based taco salad that likely would not get that cute name today, but it introduced us to and got us to appreciate Mexican food. The week ended with either spaghetti or burgers. They were burgers only in the sense that it was a meat product between 2 pieces of starch thinly veiled as buns. Lucky for us growing boys, Miss Tadlock would often award you extra pizza. You paid your 10 cents for milk and sat with your friends. The lunchroom was large, and where you sat was just as important as what you ate. Foreshadowing high school, the alliances formed at the lunch tables now would play a part in your social class all the way through graduation. Friend groups would shape with those who identified with you for years to come. We pounded down our lunch to get back on the playground for this extended break shared by various classes and age groups. Someone organized a friendly game of kickball on the blacktop. Others engaged in wall ball or foursquare. Did you play Chinese jump rope? A circle of rope held between two players' ankles while another player jumped in, out, and on the rope with a set of choreography. If this is even still played today, no doubt it goes by a different name. Then there were those like me, gathered together on the sports field playing out a scenario from a popular new show or movie, pretending to be one of the main characters from one of the most favorite franchises made famous in the 1980s. From Star Wars to the miniseries V, we would run around with fake blasters, feigning being hit, captured, or eating live hamsters. Afternoon classes brought us one step closer to the end of the day bell. During science class, the film projector might be set up, and perhaps you would be chosen to turn the dial to advance the film strip for the lesson. Speaking of being chosen, you were either one of those who avoided being called on or raised your hand high to read aloud from a textbook. The years of being read Little House on the Prairie or James and the Giant Peach were a fond memory of the past, but now there was time for required reading, the silence only broken by the sound of someone grinding their pencil on the mounted sharpener, leaving only the shavings on the floor and the smell of wood permeating the air. Years rolled by, marked with putting ourselves through the paces, the years of the teacher writing our names on the board for misbehaving, or adding a gold star sticker on excellent work we had turned in was past, replaced by completing assigned activities in our social studies workbook, not a favorite subject. Art was still important during the Gen experience, and although not every day, each week our teacher would find time to get us into something we might enjoy. Art opened our mind to other possibilities. There was always some coloring, cutting, gluing, and even sometimes pottery. Every kid remembers making those janky vases and coffee cups, or more importantly, those ashtrays for mom and dad's Pall Malls. Music and art were at least an attempt to broaden a child's horizon and perhaps spark some interest in the visual arts. Or maybe that time was used for special presentations, assemblies, or guest speakers. Did you have Grandparents' Day or bring your dad to school day? How about a presentation on Just Say No, complete with buttons and pictures of Nancy Reagan? You might be lucky and have someone from a local business come visit, like the manager of Dairy Queen debuting their newest cool treat, the Blizzard. It sounded incredible, and you might get a coupon for a free one on your next trip to the DQ. Fundraisers were common throughout the year. When funds for a school trip or the yearbook were needed, you could have a car wash or the ever-popular bake sale. Kids, or more accurately, their moms, would bake cookies and Rice Krispie treats to sell for change at the table in the foyer. Class by class would be allowed to go down and buy something from the sale. There was packaged popular candy, but never store-bought baked goods, just homemade goodies served on a napkin. And hey, we didn't die. It was Friday. There was a good chance we could enjoy those treats with a movie. We could expect a number of Fridays throughout the year would be used to watch a popular modern movie. And by modern, I mean an older, obscure film not made for wide release that the school could acquire on film. Or later, a newer movie the teacher could get on VHS from the video rental store. Lights were dim and the world became quiet. No schoolwork, and the teacher got a head start on grading papers before the weekend. Or to go to the bathroom. Or maybe grab a brief cigarette in the smoke-filled teacher's lounge, a place all students were forbade to go. We thought Movie Friday was getting away with murder, but it was a well-played move by the teacher. There would be tests, a lot of them, even those that required a number 2 pencil. There would be book reports and term papers which required the precious resources of the encyclopedia. You couldn't do research at home unless you checked out a book. There would be schoolwork, assignments, and projects throughout the year, but we'd managed it all as long as we had another weekend of adventure ahead on our minds, even as it felt like an eternity between every Friday. There would be homework too. Gen X kids had their fair share to complete. Were you the kind that did it on the bus? But first, we had to navigate getting home, making sure to obey the crossing guards, the 5th and 6th graders selected to safety patrol. They took great joy in leaving early from class to put on their day-glow belts and assist in the parking lot with crowd control and crossing streets, enjoying their first taste of control as they confidently stopped trucks for kids to cross. The most important part of the day was still ahead, so we picked up the pace. Homework could wait, so the book bag, with field trip permission slip to be signed still inside, was flung on the table while you settled in to watch the incredible block of after-school cartoons. Or maybe you were more of the after-school specials kind of kid on Wednesday afternoons. After-school cartoons was appointment television, just like Saturday mornings. They were waiting for you when you got home from school to entertain you and to market their toys to you. And we were having all of it. He-Man was not a Saturday morning cartoon. You got his buffed loincloth-clad musculature 5 days a week. Along with Optimus Prime and Cobra Commander, we had carefully curated our after-school viewing until our parents got home and started to ride us about getting homework done. If we finished early enough, we could watch The Cosby Show or whatever must-see TV was on that night in front of the family television. The minute school was back in session in September, Thanksgiving break seemed so far away. We were a grade level higher, therefore the year would be filled with firsts, and as is life, dynamics would change between old and new friends as we grew. We had gotten used to the missing faces from the previous year, but as the routine dragged on, we would have to find our peace as time went by and attitudes changed. Our classmates found music and fashion trends more important, and they grew into who they would eventually be. The same was happening to you. After Christmas break and a few anticipated snow days, we returned to an actual new calendar year, and the majority of us still had upcoming birthdays. Age would change and develop us more than we understood. What we liked and who we liked began to be more apparent. These things could tighten bonds or sever them completely. Although dating might be a couple years off, we wouldn't be in grade school forever. Middle school or junior high wasn't far, but it still seemed far enough to pay it little mind. Why would we expect things to change? We didn't see the forest for the trees at that age, and all that mattered was the now. The slow pace of each school week was the common enemy, as we all did our best to navigate our classwork and sports together until we finally made it to another summer. But what kind of summer would it be? Would we stay together, do the same things? A year older, that next summer would undoubtedly be filled with change. We didn't know what kind of changes, but it promised to be dramatic. I hope you remembered a lot of school in the Gen experience, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any other memories of going to school in that late 70s through the late 80s, let me know in the comments and let's discuss there. Really appreciate you being with me, and I hope you had fun. Try something else on the channel, take a look around like this. And until next time,